here are 5 brand new Mandela effects. From literary classics and Christmas favorites to changes in biblical stories and even brand name foods. Let's get into 5 brand new Mandela effects. To start off this list, let's talk about Around the World in 80 Days. This famous novel, released in 1872 by Jules Verne, captured the minds of readers the world over. At that time, the idea of traveling across the entire world for most was a near impossibility. But given our modern technology, today the prospect of circumnavigating the globe is no more difficult than surviving 40 hours in a plane. Times have greatly changed. The feat was first accomplished in 1522 by Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan. But the sad reality of his journey was that of the 260 original crewmen, only 18 survived the journey, and it took them 3 years. All of this backstory to reiterate how exciting and thrilling Around the World in 80 Days was. This novel is still read by American students to this day. Due to this Mandela effect should hit a lot of people. So quickly imagine what the characters traveled in this novel. Have you come up with an answer yet? Here is my question. Did the characters of Around the World in 80 Days ever fly in a hot air balloon? Yes or no? In this novel, the main character and his companions used a transcontinental train, a ferry, a steamboat, and even an elephant. But surprisingly enough, they never once used a hot air balloon. Is that what you recall? If you remember a hot air balloon, you aren't alone. This Mandela effect is really confusing because there exist variations of cover art for this book with hot air balloons on them. And it's not just one book, there are dozens of examples of this. Now, this doesn't make any sense considering they never used a hot air balloon. Strangely enough, the hypothetical idea of using a hot air balloon is brought up in the novel, but it's quickly shot down. So what gives? Why in the 1956 film adaptation did they use a hot air balloon? Is it all simply creative liberties, or was the hot air balloon at one point in time used as transportation in Around the World in 80 Days? As always, let me know what you remember and what you believe in the comments below. Frosty the Snowman is a childhood classic to many in the United States. He was a snowman brought to life through magic in a 1950 recording, but became a household name in his 1969 animated film debut. Frosty the Snowman is a memorable character, and if you ask most people, they can describe every detail about him. But miraculously, Frosty is now missing something. So here's what I'd like you to do. Visualize all of the accessories and clothing articles on Frosty the Snowman. Now what do you see? Let's see what we've got. We have a button nose, we have 2 eyes made out of coal, and here's the Mandela effect. Which of these items did he never adorn in the 1969 film? An old silk hat? A corncob pipe? A red scarf? A broom? Frosty the Snowman has an old silk hat, a broom, and a corncob pipe, but has surprisingly never worn a red scarf. Do you remember a red scarf? For some reason, dozens of people online seem to remember Frosty the Snowman wearing a scarf, and most remember it being red. So where did it go? Why do so many people remember this detail that now seemingly doesn't exist? It's really interesting. Even some modern-day Frosty the Snowman publications and media today show him wearing a red scarf. If you compare the past and the present, at some point some artist said, "Oh yeah, of course he has a red scarf," and drew Frosty with a red scarf. Does this prove he used to have a scarf, and that the past has been altered in some slight way? Or is this just a massive case of misremembering an iconic childhood character? I'll leave that for all of you to argue over in the comments below. Oh, and before I leave this topic, check out this funny little detail. Look at what the kids are wearing in Frosty the Snowman. You see anything wrong with this image? Did the creative behind these illustrations grow up in a place without snow? Do they not realize it's cold? These kids are wearing shorts in a blizzard. Anyway. The Serbian-American inventor, engineer, and futurist Nikola Tesla was one of the most influential minds of his time. The man behind alternating currents, radio control, wireless charging, a literal death ray, and even the ability to give wireless power to the entire world. These are just a few of the incredible inventions created by the genius Nikola Tesla. But despite all of these incredible accomplishments, I'm not bringing up Nikola Tesla in regards to his discoveries, but instead because he's tied to a fascinating Mandela effect. This effect is a two-part conundrum. The first part being, how did Nikola Tesla die? And the second part being, what age was he when he died? So again, how did Nikola Tesla die? Was it a car accident or a heart attack? And the second question is, what age was Nikola Tesla when he died? Middle age or old age? The answers are now a heart attack and old age. Does that sound right to you? Plenty of people seem to remember an almost alternate version of history where Tesla died because he was hit by a car. Here's what, as of right now, actually happened. Nikola Tesla was struck by a taxicab while walking back to his hotel in 1937 at the age of 81. He somehow survived this, but refused to go to the hospital or even consult a doctor because of an immense fear of doctors and hospitals from an early age. As it goes now, Tesla lived on for 5 more years until his death at the age of 86 in 1943. His cause of death was ruled a coronary thrombosis, which is a blood clot in the heart, so to keep it simple, a heart attack. Although it is still true that the FBI collected all of his belongings 2 days after his death. This Mandela effect has tripped up a lot of people online. So now I'm curious to hear what all of you remember about the life and the death of the legendary Nikola Tesla. Tell me all your thoughts about him in the comments below. How many of you out there recognize these? If you didn't already know, these are bite-sized, smoked sausages. These tiny treats are produced by Hillshire Farm and have been sold in the United States for nearly 100 years. So why do I bring them up? Well, it's all about the name. What do you remember these things being called? That's today's Mandela effect. Are they called Little Smokies, Lil Smokies, or Little Smokies? I'm sure you're all getting tired of me dropping these weird bombshells, but these tiny treats were actually called Little Smokies. Yes, with that weird spelling. Is it possible we've all been calling this product the wrong name for decades? Well, I guess it is now. So you tell me, did you get this right? Whatever it is that you say, let the tiny sausage war in the comments begin. In the New Testament of the Bible, there is something called the Book of Revelation. Within this confusing and horrifying book, there are descriptions of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I know, we're going dark with this last one. A chapter within the Book of Revelation tells of a book in God's hand that is sealed with 7 seals. The first 4 of those 7 seals summon the 4 horsemen, each on a different horse. One white, one red, one black, and one pale. These creatures are believed by some to bring about the end of the earth. Spooky stuff. Even if you're unfamiliar with the Bible, the names of these horsemen are fairly common knowledge. So who are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse? There is war, plague, famine, and blank. Is it pestilence or is it conquest? I'm sure if you're like most of the people online, you said war, plague, famine, and pestilence, which isn't correct. Another name people remembered is death, which isn't a horseman either. The correct answer is conquest, war, plague, and famine. So here we go again, another Bible Mandela effect change. For me, I'm always going to remember pestilence, but I guess pestilence is gone and now we have conquest. And hey, since you've watched up to this point in the video, I'm going to reward you with a bonus Mandela effect. Here's a strange Mandela effect. You know how companies misspell words on purpose so that they can copyright the spelling? Lazy Boy is a good example of this. A couple more examples are Fruit Loops, Flickr, Play-Doh. I bring up this common corporate practice because our bonus Mandela effect is about a company's name and how they spell it. So, how do you spell the job hunting social media platform, LinkedIn? I'm sure plenty of you have made a LinkedIn page before when looking for a job, before you decided to ignore it indefinitely because it was pointless and it never resulted in a job. Is it spelled LINKDIN? Or is it spelled LINKEDIN? Even ignoring the weird fact that LinkedIn is now one word instead of two, people seemingly remember LinkedIn having a really weird spelling, with the E missing entirely. Well, that isn't the case anymore, and it never has been. So what do you think? Do any of these Mandela effects affect you? If so, let me hear it in the comments below.